Welcome to Hockenheim. In this world, it's all about fine lines. The line between success and failure. First place and last. And with this riding on it, you've got to leave it all on the line. Welcome to the second race of Season 6, live on Twitch.
After a week where we were on the high bankings, now we head on over to Europe. First European rounds. It's the All-Stars here on the Porsche Heuer eSports Supercup at Hockenheim. And, well, after a year, of course, it was a season opener last year, it was this venue. This time, week 2, and Arjuna Kankapati and myself, Paul Smith, here for all of the action once again. And we get to see this Porsche 963 around the twists and turns of Hockenheim.
Yeah, in terms of track, it's back to something familiar, but the car maybe something still slightly unfamiliar to the drivers in the All-Stars and also to the viewers. This Porsche 963 with all of its hybrid grunt really displayed some exciting racing at the World Centre of Racing. But also, Paul, for the first time, rolling starts in our Porsche eSports Supercup as well as in the All-Stars.
Yeah, absolutely. The All-Stars, I mean, they're getting all the fun here. They are in the car that pretty much, if you can handle the high downforce of this car, then, well, you're going to be having a lot of fun. Here's the schedule then, the first 3 rounds with the 963 GTP. Last week, we're at Daytona today, Hockenheim. Next week, we're at Le Mans. And then we head on over to the 992 Cup car that you see the pest drivers at Watkins Glen and Red Bull Ring before we finish off with the 911 GT3R at Imola and Monza.
And so you see the compressed schedule there. But Paul, I think the thing that has been quite intriguing for us over the course of the Porsche All-Stars is the fact that, yes, open qualifying, the drivers are out there on track for that right now. But the sprint race only being 17 minutes, then fully inverted for the main race of 27 minutes. I mean, think back to what we saw a week ago at Daytona when Casey Kerwin ran away at the front slightly at the first race, was able to grab the victory, but then had to work his way back forward through the field in that second race. It always builds a lot of intrigue, and with the fixed setup that the drivers are all contending with, well, they've got no complaints about the car that they've got underneath them. Yeah,
the car's all the same for each one of these drivers out there on this venue. And speaking of the cars, there they are out on track. The last 2.5 minutes of qualifying is coming through, and Casey Kerwin, shock horror, is currently provisionally on pole position, but the Pulpa Lopez is right there with him on broadcast time. Here's Kenny 500. Christian Ortega, the Spaniard, coming across the line to get a lap time in the books, and that one does not actually improve the position, so stays in 7th place. But Quirk, well, we were promised a different paint, weren't we, Arjuna? But we haven't quite got that yet.
No, it's very disappointed in Quirk, so I'm not going to talk too much about this, even though it looks lovely, the iRacing.com Porsche 963. Instead, you know, Kenny 500's red little car that he had looked very, very interesting with some of the details, the spec map work that he had going on there. Similar sort of a thing that the artist that designed this 920 machine ended up going for. This is a lot simpler, right? One color, nice and simple, but Daniel Gray, what's the message for me? Please say nice things. Well, Daniel, your paint looks simple. Is that nice, Paul? You tell me.
I don't think he's actually changed that from last week. I think it should be a different thing said each week. I mean, he's asking if you can say nice things about him. Doesn't mean that I have to say nice things about him. So I can be as brutal as I want, to be honest. But there's Daniel on screen right now talking to his stream as well. Of course, these drivers all streaming to their different streams as well. You can catch them, and that's why we give you their handles rather than just their names, just so you can check these people out, because there is some really, really entertaining people out here on this grid. And yeah, we saw some great racing last week, but also some entertaining stuff when we pulled them into the commentary booth here as well. But we'll take a look in just a few moments' time, Arjuna, at this venue, which of course is one of the homes of the Porsche Experience Centre.
Yes, what an interesting view on board with Daniel Gray in the tight confines of the Porsche 963, but familiar track to the Porsche eSports Supercup, let's not forget, and to the Porsche All-Stars. When you bring cars here, a very flat track in its nature, ultimately the talking is all about, well, the run into the hairpin, the drama that you'll see there, and in these hybrid machines, going to be important as well to control the braking and slow the car down as effectively as possible. Then the run into the arena section before a very, very tight final sector with realistically only one racing line side by side possible, if ill-advised, around the 4.5 kilometers, 16 turns to work and pull. It's going to be a treat to see these drivers with their rolling start, I think, in these All-Stars build the run and the speed into turn number 1.
So we'll take you through your starting grid here then for this first All-Stars race. And well, he won the sprint race last year. He's on pole position once again. Casey Kerr with the Pulpo Lopez there. I think he'll keep him honest all the race through. Emery won the main race last time out. She's starting on row 2 with Suelia Almeida alongside her. Daniel Gray and Sampsoy then on the next row of the grid. Kenny 500 and Tony Kanan then on row number 4 with row 5 Dan Suzuki and Grizzle with Quirk and Stradi rounding out row number 6. Row 7 Paul Gizazo with Basic Ollie. Then it's Love 46 Matt Malone and Storm Molina at the back of the grid. And well, do we think that Storm Molina will be feeling a little bit more comfortable now, Arjuna, after last week?
Well, from Daytona, I mean, I don't know if Hockenheim is necessarily a less intimidating place to go, because it is so flat that you have to be so committed. I mean, turn 1 in particular, that speed that you carry through that section, it's fast, it's intimidating, even for experienced drivers. And so I think it's going to be a really intriguing first race to settle into the running before that full invert for the second slightly longer race. And oh boy, Paul, don't forget, we get a short formation lap before we're racing. We're already in the final sector.
Yeah, so we're into the old stadium section. This is one of the older parts of this venue. This wasn't part of the track that was changed back in, I want to say it was 2002. June, I'm sure you can be quickly onto the search engine and confirm whether I'm right or wrong about that. I do miss the old blast into the forests here. It made it a unique venue, that is for sure. But these drivers getting themselves ready. 17 minutes then in this opening sprint race here for week number 2 of the All-Stars for the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup. And away we go. Barney's got the green flag out and we are racing here in towards turn number 1 we go. Flying through there, avoid that curb on the inside of the corner because it can throw your car out wide. We had a car starting from pit lane, that was Suelia Almeida. So not able to take the start of this race, had to start from pit road. And, well, through the opening couple of corners, and Dan Suzuki has been off. Oh, there's more around. Quirk's involved in that. Oh, there's multiple cars there falling down the order. Basic Ollie's involved in that as well. Paul Gizazo's there. It's carnage as we head on through to the hairpin.
And surprisingly, hairpin relatively tidy as a result of that. Daniel Gray's battling alongside Tony Kanan as we now exit in towards this arena section. Single file for the most part, but realistically, look at how many cars have been dropped. We had 17 end up taken to the green. I think now in this quote-unquote lead breakaway, 7 cars still remaining as through the right-hander they go and off to the final sector.
Flying through along the part of the drag strip that they have there before then into this arena section, then slowing down through Sachs Curve, of course one of the most famous corners around this track, of course the site of a certain German Formula 1 world champion Sebastian Vettel going off there a few years ago in highly dramatic circumstances. Sud Curve, of course, before they go through Nord Curve at turn number 1, and then we're heading towards the Einfahrt Parabolica, onto the brakes through this right-hander at turn 2, and through 3 and 4 And then there's this long parabolic corner then all the way around here towards the hairpin. And what this has done is just allowed the field to spread out a bit here, Arjuna. As I can tell you, basically in Porsche Zaza have been onto pit road.
Yeah, I think they had just a little bit too much damage, all things considered, to be able to keep going. So quick trip in, fast repair, and back out they go. Suelio Almeida, as a result of starting on pit lane, already up to 12th, and now has got to try and work through and settle into that, through that first pack and into this pack that's now chasing down your race leader, of course. And so I think this is a real opportunity to just get into, I think, what is the second race of 3 in this Porsche 963. Next week, of course, we're off in the Mulsanne and blasting down at high speed. This is a very different sort of a track, of course, a little bit more technical in a lot of ways, and so would not be surprised if of the 3 races in this car, this is the one that people are kind of circled, Paul, as going, not sure how this one is going to go. It's going to be the most unpredictable, the one where we're going to have to get the most from the car itself.
You think tracks like Daytona and the Circuit de la Sarre is tracks that this car was specifically designed for, isn't it? It was where it can really stretch its legs and really use the downforce of it as well through those high-speed corners. Around here, you're more sort of medium to low-speed corners, aren't you? There's not too many out-and-out, flat-out corners through this track. Maybe turn 7 in towards that first arena section.
Now, of course, these LMDH cars that run in the GTP category in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, they actually have relatively limited downforce for a top-spec prototype machine. And so when you go to some of those tracks like Daytona, as well as Le Mans, of course, you see the speed itself, but it's also the way that the downforce is then generated has to then be tailored for those sort of a track. So you're completely right, car design so important, and you know, not many endurance races necessarily come here. We check in with the battle slightly further behind. Tony Kanaan, of course, Kenny 500 the back of the lead, Pat Strati, Matt Malone and Grizzle at the start of that second pack. And as we gander back over to the race start, this is where, of course, cold tires, brakes still coming up to temperature as well. That's not necessarily related to any of it, it's just a little bit clumsy. And then, as we filter onto the back straightaway, can't quite tell if it was cars in the grass or contact. Concertina though, and wow, what a save from Suelio Almeida to get through all of the carnage.
Yeah, after starting from pit road, my goodness, ducking and diving past all those cars that were strewn across the track on the exit of turns 3 and 4. Back to live pictures then, 12 minutes remaining in this race. We're still in the opening salvos here, and the Pulpo Lopez is keeping Casey Kerwin very honest as we keep an eye on this fight a little bit further back. And well, it's running through is Suelio Almeida then, trying to work way past Love 46. Great to speak to Love 46 last race and hear her thoughts after being back in the series. But Suelio, I think, will be... how do you think he's approaching this? After qualifying all the way up on the second row of the grid, starting from pit road, that's suboptimal, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure why he started on pit lane, just so that we can let some of the people that have been wondering in our Porsche chats why he started on pit lane. Not quite sure as to the reason. Regardless, he's done decently so far to work forward, but he's also showing us that it's quite difficult, Paul, to pass. At least he's fixed the number on the front of his car this time as compared to last week.
Yeah, one driver that we do have on board with is Grizzle, and Arjuna, why don't you take it away with one of our newcomers?
Always great to be able to interrupt someone while they're driving. Grizzle, how are you going to be dealing with our interruption here today? How are you feeling with 11 minutes still left to go?
Well, we'll see. I'm not too confident about this turn 1 exit curve at the moment, but we'll see. I mean, there was carnage at the beginning, but, you know, lots of things can happen still in 11 minutes here, so we'll see what we got left in store.
Now, I see you've got what I assume is the Lego Porsche 963 Speed Champions up next to you in the sim rig. How much are you enjoying this car? How well is it suited to the Hockenheimring?
Oh, I love this car. Most of my friends are really annoyed by me when I talk about it. And yeah, ever since it's been announced, I'm such a huge fan. A lot of people consider me as a Porsche fanboy. And around Hockenheim, I gotta be honest, it's good, but it's not my strongest track. I'm really looking forward to Le Mans next week. That's gonna be really, really fun to watch.
Oh, that should be fun, especially given that, you know, slipstreaming and all of that will come into play. You're, of course, in the second pack right now. Before we let you go, we'll keep interrupting you momentarily. What do you guys need to do in the second race with the full invert to hold on? How crazy was that last week?
Oh, I mean, I'll be perfectly honest, I was in full save the tires mode at Daytona. We had 49-degree track temp there, and let me just tell you right now, I was just in my element, just doing my thing, and just watching people fight in the back and destroying their tires. So, and the track's getting really hot here now as well. So, that feature race is gonna look spicy.
So this is all a prelude, Paul, for us to get ready for that main race. And while we've been talking to Grizzle, not sure if the viewers have been watching, but Daniel Gray, Sam Soyd, as well as Tony Kanaan behind, really getting into the thick of things.
Yeah, they've been going at it like loggerheads. It really has been interesting to watch this one. They've settled down a little bit with Sam Soyd then in 4th place ahead of Daniel Gray. Tony Kanaan is in the thick of it as well. He'll be loving this, being right in the middle of all this mix-up, and Kenny 500 hanging on and able to compete with them. Don't write out Straddy or Matt Malone either, or indeed Grizzle, or any of those behind them, because there's just a big queue of them here all the way through in this mid-pack right now. Casey Kerwin's just nearly 2 seconds clear of the Purple Lopez, and Emery's a little bit in sort of no man's land, Arjuna.
Yeah, no, this is a really impressive drive from Casey once again, just to continue extending his margin. Not necessarily thinking we should be surprised, former IMSA eSports race winner in this GTP machine, but we're now joined by David Sampson, not the driver who gets to be interrupted by us. You got a big smile on your face though. David, you look like you're loving this.
I'm loving this. Sweaty, eSport performance sweat everywhere. Had a good battle with Daniel, and I'm trying to hold on, man. I nearly bottomed out of one and died, so yeah, just trying to calm it down now.
You're learning from the rest of the Apex Racing team in terms of getting the esports driver out of you. 963 though, we're in the second race of 3. We're off to Le Mans next week.
Yep.
How has it been in terms of getting up to speed and getting to grips with this machine?
I love the GTP, so when I found out we were starting in these cars, I was the happiest man on the grid, so yeah, really excited. I love this car.
Are you excited, as excited about what comes up next, the 992 Cup machine?
Yep, and the Porsche GT3. I'm a Porsche fanatic, so yeah, bring it on. Le Mans is going to be a struggle for me next week. It's not a weak track, it's just not a strong track of mine. So I'm going to just focus on collecting as many points as I can for my pace and stay out of trouble.
Look at that, racing driver excuses. You're continuing to learn from the Apex Racing team. We'll keep interrupting you though, because you've got Daniel Gray in your rearview mirror, Tony Kanaan, Kenny 500 behind.
Yep.
Who are you most worried about in this train with still 7 minutes left to run?
Daniel Gray, he's held off TK this long, so I need to be careful. He's got what it takes, so I just need to nail my laps now to the end.
Plus, you know, that Australian netcode, something.
Correct. It's about 10 foot long.
Always great. Always great to talk with one driver. Always better, though, when we can try and drag in a second driver into the mix. And so as Tony Kanaan really has a big send behind Paul, hoping we can talk to Tony shortly as well.
Yeah, we'll get Tony in a second. But, well, what that's done is helped you there, Dave.
No complaints here, mate. Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah, these drivers now heading to the hairpin, and we've got the perfect cameraman actually here in Sam Soyd to be able to see this one. So,
you're welcome.
As we carry on, thank you very much. And well, why don't we bring in Arjuna, a certain Tony Kanaan, who is very focused.
Tony's looking very, very focused. Tony, that was a big send. Did he lock up? Did he make a mistake?
No. I tried. I mean, I knew Daniel was gonna give me some room, so. Oh man, I can't talk and drive.
Get him, TK.
and you know, it was a big send. I was trying because they were so close, it was so similar in speed that you know, I'm gonna have to try something here, but we'll see.
I've heard, by the way, TK, that behind you there's someone else racing in this Porsche All-Stars race. You let Quark into your sim room today.
I mean, I did, and he's exactly where he needs to be, behind me. So nothing new here. He's gonna make 1,000 excuses that why he's slow because he's at my rig and this and that. But you know, it's the hardest thing. I've been trying to make him admit that he's just slow. But I'll help all. I need all you guys' help to cheer up for him because he's definitely struggling, and I am going to lose the position because I'm talking.
Good.
Hi, Cork. How you doing, by the way?
Oh, I'm doing just fantastic.
Tony was just telling us about how he's trying to teach you about where where exactly you're meant to be, behind him right now.
Oh, is that so? Well, I am literally behind him right now. As you can see, hopefully next race, he'll be behind me, literally, and in the race. So we'll see, I got involved in a little bit of a wreck at the start and then spun on myself, by myself. I ran out of talent, and I've been asking TK for advice, but I think he's running out of talent too.
Well, poor TK's being disturbed by us plenty, so we'll focus on you for a sec, Cork.
Okay,
is your plan here clearly just to go for the invert so you have a chance to try and run away in the main race?
Yeah, strategically, that's what it was all about. The self-spin was a strategic self-spin, so I would start from the front on the next race, and then I'm just going to block them. That's what's going to happen.
You'll have the world's widest 963, but Cork, it's a 963 that doesn't have your face on it. Where's the new paint? We're very disappointed.
I know, I'm sorry. My face wasn't ready again. I gotta get my makeup on.
Well, I hope it will be ready at Le Mans. We've got about 3 minutes left in this one. We've disturbed TK enough. Cork, it's great to have you along, and I'm sure we'll talk to you a little bit more in the main race as well, but Paul, this All-Stars, it's always chaotic, isn't it?
Oh, it's fantastic. I absolutely love when we get our drivers in the commentary booth here. And could you imagine doing that with the PESC drivers? They wouldn't say a word to us, would they? They'd be just too focused on their driving. But you see, this is the difference between streamers and the pro sim racers. It's that they can talk whilst driving as well.
And I mean, Tony Kanaan, I mean, what a champion he is, right, as well. And how much does he struggle when he talks to us? It's quite enjoyable, I must say, as a commentator, to get the ability to just go and disturb someone. Now, the problem is that we haven't been able to disturb Casey Kerwin so far. So what I'm suggesting, Paul, is that for a future race, maybe at Le Mans, Casey has to sit with us for the entire race.
Oh, that would be evil. I like your thinking there, Arjuna. That is for sure. It's evil enough to be brilliant. There's Matt Malone that we're on board with, and he's. Do you know what? Most of these drivers around here, they've got such focused faces right now because Matt, he's got Grizzle behind, Love 46, Rally Almeida, and Dan Suzuki as well. The recovering Dan Suzuki, it must be said. A bit of sweat to deal with for Matt while we're on board, but certainly he's keeping the focus up here.
He's doing decently as a big send from Almeida. That was really well executed. Because this track is so flat, when it gets bumpy in its braking zones on corner exit, you really feel it in the platform of the car. And so Almeida stopped it in time, slid on through, and now we'll try and take advantage with what should be, Paul, I'm assuming, 2 to go, 1 to go for your leader at the line?
It'll be 1 to go at the line for the leader. In fact, he's coming through the Sud curve right now is Casey Kerwin. So he's starting his last lap. There's Barney on the flag stand giving the white flag. And Arjuna, we have actually got a certain Casey Kerwin who's a mile ahead in the commentary booth as well.
Yeah, our BOP plan for today, Casey, didn't work. We haven't had the chance to talk to you until just now. So talk to us about the 963 at Hockenheim. How difficult is it? It's a flat track. Is it easy? Is it simple?
Nah, it's very tricky. Hockenheim's always a tricky one, especially like managing getting turn 1 right without track limits and stuff like that. And this hairpin's always tricky. You always feel like you're underdriving it, and then you try and brake deeper, and then you miss it by a mile. So yeah, it's tricky, and just kind of the natural characteristics of prototypes kind of in the final sector. It can be a little uneasy if you get it wrong. So yeah, it's tricky, and I'm sure in the invert race. It's also not the easiest place to pass, so it'll be a bit chaotic, especially first time into the hairpin. So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
And I was just about to ask about the invert. We've seen Suelio be somewhat it's been difficult for him to work forward. How easy do you think it will be for you to try and fight your way forward to the front?
It'll be really difficult, honestly. I mean, it doesn't really matter if you have much of a speed difference or not. You kind of get in the final sector, you can't go anywhere. So really the big passing area is like the hairpin and maybe a couple other corners. Other than that, I don't think without getting a little over aggressive, you're really going to be able to make much moves. So we'll see how lap 1 goes with the hairpin, everything first, and go from there.
Well, it was far too easy for you, Casey Kerwin. Thank you very much for joining us. That's the winner of the sprint race. But look at this to the inside, the final couple of corners. Contact, Matt Malone's around. We've got more carrying on, but Almeida is just going to be behind Grizzle at the end, right at the death. Matt Malone gets spun around. Oh my goodness, it all went wrong for him in that penultimate corner. Through the Sud curve. For the final time comes Quirk as well, and just behind Quirk is Storm Molina. So Storm Molina, not finishing last, is doing a good job of not finishing last in these races. So congratulations to her. As across the line now, basically, and Borja Zazo, that will be your field from the first race. As what a way to park your car. I don't think that's Porsche approved, unfortunately. Casey Kerwin is your winner by 3.8 seconds over the Pulpo Lopez, with Emery in a lonely third ahead of Sampsoid fourth. Daniel Gray right behind him though in fifth, and a little gap to Kenny 500. Tony Kanaan was close, but not close enough to get himself into seventh. Stradi, Grizzle, and Suelio Almeida ran at the top 10. Le 46 then in 11th with Dan Suzuki. Matt Malone after his spin, not self-induced spin it must be pointed out, ahead of Quirk, Storm Molina, basically, and Borja Zaza. So that is the results from the opening sprint race of the evening here, Arjuna. The All-Stars always delivering some excitement and drama. Maybe don't take lessons on how to park your car from them though.
No, that is Porsche approved though, because now the spare parts department has a new order for an entire new front end, and our pit crews are quick enough that we can get that flipped out in time for the next race. So if our drivers want to enjoy the iRacing new damage model, they can, and we're not going to complain because it really does look spectacular. And it goes to show, Paul, how different endurance racing has really become on iRacing in recent years, with all of these new things that drivers at all levels, whether it's at this all-star level or even the special events, really have to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't have to be a member of a very exclusive club to drive these cars. Anyone can. If you've got an iRacing membership here, you can get this car and take it to the racetracks that you want to race it at.
Yeah, and you know, let's go racing next week at the Circuit de la Sarthe. We were at the World Center of Racing a week ago, and we could even take it to a place like Oran Park that now only exists here at iRacing.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you do want to join us here on iRacing, check it out, iRacing.com, for the start of your iRacing career, because every day is a race day on iRacing. And it's 40% off of all new memberships right now. So do check that out if you are interested in joining us here on iRacing. We're getting a full inversion of the grid here in this race, and we'll be getting ourselves set for that one. It's Borja Zazo and Basic Ollie after their drama on lap 1 of the sprint race. They'll be hoping to try and run away at the front. Storm Molina and Quirk starting on row number 2, and Matt Malone and Dan Suzuki on row 3. Row 4 for Le 46 and Suelio Almeida, with Grizzle, Stradi, and then Tony Kanaan and Kenny 500 on row number 6. Row 7 for Daniel Gray and Sampsoid, with Emery, the Pulpo Lopez, and right at the back of the grid, starting 17th, Casey Kerwin. So that is our grid, and well, we saw in that first race with Suelio Almeida, Arjuna, that it's not the easiest of tracks to actually make some moves at, is it?
No, you definitely need a bit of a pace difference, and because the run into the hairpin, which is, you know, traditional passing opportunity, has such a long preceding straight before it with these hybrid machines, even if you get a poor run, you get that hybrid kicking yourself down the straight just that little bit more, gives you a chance to defend. I think what we have got to maybe focus on this time around was, Paul, it was a very, very clumsy start, all things considered, on lap number 1. Can we get through, at least in towards the hairpin, with a little bit more cleanliness this time around?
Yeah, just move the problem maybe down one corner. It's what
500 meters down the road. It's better than anything else.
Well, the drivers are getting themselves set for this 27-minute main race here for the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports All-Stars. Pleasure to have you all along here. It's Paul Smith and Arjuna Kankipati on commentary. The pace car, the 911 pace car, drops into pit road, and now we're under the control of Borja Zazo at the front of the field. Barney has green flag in hand. We're underway and we're going 3, almost 4 wide down towards turn number 1, and Quirk already making some moves through turn number 1 on the outside. It's a brave move if you can do it. 3 into 1 corner, doesn't normally go, but so far these All-Stars are all making it work this time around as we make it through those first couple of corners. There's a car sliding, it's TK, Tony Kanaan. Oh, big moment for Tony as they carry on towards the hairpin for the first time.
It was a relatively tidy start, no one taking liberties with track limits, but as we get onto the anchors, hard into the hairpin, watch as Borja Zazo gets a terrible run. Contact made with, I think that was Kuroko Dan Suzuki, has allowed Basic Ollie to streak away into the arena. First time of asking, single file at the front momentarily, has now devolved into chaos. Long way around for Dan Suzuki, trying to battle into the final sector.
If you're Basic Ollie, you'll be looking in your mirror and laughing and going, come on, keep fighting, that's what I want to see. I saw some smoke in the background of shot then. Unfortunately, I do think it was Storm Molina who had issues out there. Carrying on, Casey Kerwin's trying to work his way through the field already. He's up to 12th at this stage and trying to go the wrong way around. The long way around, Struddy? I don't think you're doing that at the Sats curve, mate. I know you're good, Casey, but that's a bit ambitious if you ask me. But as we head on through the end of the opening lap, it's Basic Ollie from Borja Zazo, Dan Suzuki up 3 places from where he started. Then Quirk ahead of Swelly Almeida, who's up 3 places as well. Matt Malone, Lug 46, Grizzle, Kenny 500 and Samsoid is your top 10. There's Borja Zazo with, that is a loud shirt, that's for sure.
It's one of the shirts of all time in the world of sim racing as we head off into the hairpin once again. Remember, this is a 27-minute race, is going to mean plenty of time. And the nickname that the chat gave to Borja Zazo out of Daytona, Paul, was the Spanish Minister of Defense. He was, well, putting the roadblock up and basically trying to be as wide as possible, to harken back to the quick chat that we had with TK and Quirk about defense there. You've got to think, here at the Hockenheimring, if Basic Ollie can hold on and start to somewhat build the advantage, it's only going to brew, it's only going to intensify behind. And based on what Casey Kerwin has done so far, which has only worked forward into 12th spot 2 laps or so in, he might have a chance of breaking away, you know.
Do you think Porsche will buy me a shirt like that?
Oh,
it looks a good shirt, does that, that's for sure.
It
looks expensive.
If Porsche Design don't already have a shirt like that, someone behind the scenes is whipping something up, Paul, just for you. Maybe we'll get a flat cap like that.
No, well, I mean, I did talk. I did ask about a flat cap, but unfortunately, that's got to wait. I'm afraid there's far more pressing things to worry about the Porsche flat cap. But oh, big defense and contact between Dan Suzuki. Quirk's involved in that, so too as well. Almeida. Matt Malone takes advantage of all of that, and it's just the slightest of contacts into the back of Borja Zazo's car, and around he goes.
Not much you can do as a Minister of Defense when you get tagged from behind. And I think Dan Suzuki just got caught unawares in an attempt to maybe go a little bit deeper into the braking zone. Nose chopped off there of Suelio Almeida as Matt Malone tried to go deep into the corner. But now on the corner exit, that's in fact Grizzle, excuse me, that's now on the outside and trying to hold on to that position. This is some great racing. Basic Ollie's loving it. He's almost 3 seconds clear.
They were almost going 4 wide into the left-hander there at turn 8 as they come through there. My goodness, it's all going a bit crazy in this mid-pack. Oh, that's Samside going out wide. Casey Kerwin's finally made his way past Straddy through all of this, so it took his time about that, but finally made it through. He's got Borges, his next target, in front of him. And well, Casey, he's got a difficult job here. We saw that it was difficult to move your way through the field as Samside's dropped down the order on the timing tower on the left-hand side of your screen. But yeah, Casey's got it a tough job here, but we've seen how quick he can be, and look at that. That to the inside, it's got an overlap. He should have this move done.
Yeah, Borges still reeling from the impact. You can see the right front of his car maybe a little bit dinged in as well. Kerwin's going to now get up into 9th and try and just continue to work on forward. He is 7.5 seconds off of your race leader, who's going to continue to try and build that advantage as now Quirk to the outside, the long way around on Dan Suzuki. He's trying to square up the car in front, but look at Suzuki on corner exit, just holds the inside, runs his way onto the power, and then as the hybrid kicks in, just gets off the corner that little bit better, holds on to the position, and oh look, Matt Malone's joined the fun. Suelio Almeida's now in 5th position as well, and we've not even burned 7 minutes off the clock in this race.
Yeah, I was going to say Quirk's got to be careful here because Matt Malone, the mustachioed man himself, he is right there, ready to pounce if either of these two make a mistake and move their way through. But Dan Suzuki, well, he's certainly doing a good job of defending here. Of course, a home venue for Dan in Hockenheim, with the German working his way through the final couple of corners. And again, looking in his mirrors, looking at Quirk there as they move on through in towards turn number 1. And Arjuna, we've been joined by a couple of friends.
Got Dan Suzuki, we've got Matt Malone, but Dan's the one under pressure right now as they head off in towards turn number 2. How are you feeling, Dan? A little bit of contact already in this race. Oh, we can't hear him right now.
He's speechless.
He's so speechless, Matt, because this has been some great racing.
I don't know how I'm so far up here. There's some big accidents. Started up front. It's been pretty wild.
Talk to us, Matt, about what you're seeing in front of you now as Dan runs a little bit wide, Quirk gets on through. Where are you seeing your opportunities?
Well, yeah, these guys are doing a little tango here, and I'm just waiting for an opportunity to get something going here. I mean, I'm horrible at this car track combo. It's fun, but man. So I'm just kind of waiting and see if I can get a run on somebody, see if I can stick it up the inside, activate a little spotter, get them a little flustered, and see if any opportunities arise, you know?
Yeah, I know Dan is having some mic issues, so we won't stress him out just yet as he throws the hand up in frustration with technology. Matt, talk to us about this race compared to Daytona. A little bit more technical in its nature, right?
Oh, 100%. This is this car track combo takes a level of talent that I don't have. But yeah, it's much harder to stick with everybody. There's not as much draft lock. Yeah, technical corners, really like that one hairpin where you're just really hard on the brakes. A lot of hard braking zones. It's tough. It's not easy. This is really test your skills.
We got Suelio Almeida closing in from behind. We'll ask Dan a thumbs up or thumbs down question. Dan, home track for you. How do you rate this combo? Yes or no? Should we race this a little bit more? Oh, 50-50. Matt, what's your answer to that one? Oh, thumbs down. He's not having it. Oh, big stand. Oh, and we'll let these two go because as good sports as they're being right now, poor Matt Malone almost ran into Dan Suzuki there.
Yeah. He almost, not just run into, but almost wiped him out is what I would say there. Oh my goodness, the focus and concentration, the effort that they're having to put in as well. My goodness, this is fun to watch. Daniel Gray by the way, in 12th place, is holding off Straddy, who's holding off the recovering Tony Kanaan, who, by the way, has got the fastest lap of the race so far here. And Porsche Zaza's right there with him, but it's showing just the tricky nature of this track, of them trying to get through. But my goodness, Daniel Gray is shown to have some good pace here, and well, there you go. You see, I've just said something nice about him. It's not just Arjuna that has to say nice things.
He didn't even pay you for that by putting your name on the front of his car. I was also, by the way, just trying to recover after breaking out in laughter. Have you ever met, Paul, someone who is as enthusiastic and as good as talking while driving, especially talking to us, as Matt Malone? I always have a blast, and so great to have Matt join us there. And I think now you mentioned that the PES drivers would usually not want to do that. We need a world championship, iRacing, I hope you're listening, where the drivers are forced to sit in a Discord voice chat with each other, mics open, and no choice other than to listen to each other.
I think that's asking for a LAN event, if you ask me, to be honest. And
let's do it.
Maybe have a wrestling ring set up at one side for them to sort out the differences afterwards. As we carry on with this one, 17 minutes to go. I mean, I don't know about you, Arjuna, but I just shake it off when I have an instance. So, yeah, these drivers, though, definitely pushing on into the arena section of the track here. As we go to a replay, and this is what's happened to Emery down here. And this is down in 11th with also Love 46 involved in that. Well, we talk about suboptimal. That's Borja Zazo just getting absolutely sent. TK then absolutely sent it down the inside of Daniel Gray. My goodness.
This is the land of sens, it would seem, and somehow Borja Zazo recovered from that quite well. So, I mean, credit where credit's due. That's where the damage to his right front came from, not from the tangle that he had with Dan Suzuki in through turn 2 slightly earlier on in this race. And wow, I mean, if this is what the Porsche 963s are capable of in the Porsche All-Stars, now I know that the Porsche 992 Cup cars are slightly slower, but they're even harder to control in some ways because they've got less driver aid, they've got even less grip, even less downforce. And Paul, in this Porsche eSports Supercup event today, fixed setup for all the drivers to be dealing with, and the one thing that they've been talking to me a little bit about is tire management. So if you're watching this and going, there's no way the Supercup's going to live up to this level of chaos, don't know about that one. Keep around here.
Yeah, you do want to stick around for that one. That's coming up in about 20 minutes or so for that race. But my goodness, the All-Stars, they keep on delivering hand over fist with their entertainment, their ability to race each other in close quarters, with cars that are sort of aero-dependent here, and being able to run this close as well just shows how good this Porsche is in working in dirty air here, not just in the sim, but in full metal racing as well.
No, absolutely, and this is a car as well that when you see it in the real world, the way it moves is so intriguing because of the suspension, the way it needs to manage the bumps and then get the aero platform still stiff enough to work through the corners. And so as we watch some of these battles slightly further down through the field, Casey Kerwin, what a great view as Matt Malone on the outside of Kenny 500, going to switch back to the inside as Casey Kerwin's going to try and find a line. Which way does he go? Up the middle, 3 wide.
I think we'll use him in turn 1.
That is so close as we are getting joined now by basically Arjuna. I mean, first of all, I will say he has got some excellent track maps behind, although I think the best in which is Alton Park. But Arjuna, our race leader, he's waltzing away. We've got to distract him.
Yeah, we got to try and distract you, basically, because you're 3 seconds clear of Quirk right now. You've got one of the best tracks in the world behind you in the Nordschleife. But where does the Hockenheimring rank up in your list, in your estimation, in the best of all time?
Oh, I don't know if you want me to answer that. Ask me at the end. Ask me at the end of this race, I think.
I mean, winning a race, especially the Porsche All-Stars, that will change an opinion. I'm picking up what you're putting down. But as we're watching drivers make some mistakes behind you, Matt Malone's just thrown it off the road by himself. How are you feeling out front? Where's the confidence? Where's the pressure?
I always feel better at the front than I was at the back earlier because I was just feeling so demoralised. Now I'm at the front, now it's in my control, I feel a bit more comfortable. But I can see quirks catching me up. I can't quite seem to get the brakes right in this thing. They keep locking up. But the clock's ticking down. They're only getting a couple of attempts a lap. We've got to keep our head down and fingers crossed we can get this first win.
Yeah, the power of the commentators. Quirk's already gained half a second or so since we've come and interrupted
There you
you.
go.
Yeah, how comfortable are you talking to us? Do you like it? Do you hate us?
No, I don't know. I love you guys. What are you talking about? No, I'm absolutely fine. I seem to always talk to chat when I'm racing as well, so I don't mind. Honestly, it's a nice distraction, to be honest with you. It's a nice distraction, so I'm all for it.
Well, Cap's opened back up, so clearly it's not all bad here in the commentary booth. So it's been fun to have you so far in this Porsche 963. Next up, of course, we're going to shift gears in terms of cars to another car where, let's be honest, basically, that's also difficult on the brakes. How confident are you in the Porsche 992 Cup machine?
Oh, I do like the Porsche Cup. You know, it really takes guts to drive that thing fast, but I do like it because it punishes any sort of mistake. So if you keep calm and collected and steady and just, you know, stick to your breaker points and stuff and don't crash or whatever, you'll get a good result. So yeah, I like that car a lot, and I think it'll have some good racing in it if you survive, of course.
Well, you survived talking to us, so congratulations, basically. Hopefully we get to chat with you in about 12 minutes time again. Still got to survive a couple more laps here at the Hockenheimring.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, there we go then. That is basically, and I'll tell you what, he was, you could hear that he was struggling a little bit whilst we were talking to him. Meanwhile, this race in the mid-pack has just been crazy. They've been knocking lumps out of each other. They've all been chopping and changing. Grizzle slowly working his way forward up a position from where he started. The Pulpo Lopez up 7 places to 9th, right behind Grizzle right now, who's got Love 46 for company as well. But Casey Kerwin, once again, Arjuna, we've got to do something to Casey because he's up to 5th place, up 12 places from where he started at the back.
Like I said, next round, he's here with us in the commentary booth for the entire time, because as the Pulpo Lopez, I'm sure, can attest to, Emily Jones joins us as well. Talking to us while driving, Pablo, it's not easy, is it?
No, it's not easy at all, man. How are you?
We're doing great. We've been loving our time so far at the Hockenheimring. Emery, how have you been enjoying it in the mid-pack in the second race where things have been, let's say, intriguing?
Yeah,
Emily's got her mic muted, so as we rejoin Pablo for just a second while Emily can get herself unmuted, Pablo, let's talk about the Hockenheimring. How have you been enjoying yourself so far?
I am enjoying a lot more than Daytona because it's more easy to pass, but the thing is that I missed the start because I was giving away some of my racing dollars and I read the practice time and it was warm up 5 minutes and then you advance the session. Arjuna, how are you? How you did that?
Hashtag blame Dave. Hashtag blame Dave. Emily's got her mic unmuted. Emily, talk to us about how the Patchwork machine's been running around this very flat facility at the Hockenheimring.
Sorry, I'm just involved in a crash. There's been like 4 netcode incidents. It's been pretty bad. I'll be on my end, unfortunately, but we're alive. The people that we had incidents with are no longer alive. I can't drive and talk. It's not going well.
The Australian netcodes wreaked havoc there, it would seem, as you get... Did he get spun on the nose of Tony Kanaan?
Probably. Yeah, I've lost track at this point. We're almost about to get DQ'd. There's been a lot of incidents.
Oh, incident point. That's something that we hopefully don't want to have to talk about too much more. Pablo, you're looking very focused right now. How close are you to hitting the incident limit?
I am 7 incidents of 20 limit, so I'm fine, to be honest.
Emily, how close are you?
I'm at 17. It's not gone well.
That's the difference, Paul. 7 versus 17 incidents.
Wow.
Okay, I take notes, Emily.
Yeah, how to kill people, exactly.
Well, it's always great to hear from our drivers. Thank you so much for joining us as we go back to towards the front end of the field, because Dan Suzuki now is under some pressure from Suelia Almeida, and I do feel for Emily, because my goodness, it really is unfortunate, Arjuna, how we get her in the commentary booth. First of all, her mic's muted, and then she has an accident.
I mean, today's interviews, Paul, they feel like they've been the most chaotic in Porsche All-Star history.
Yeah.
Now, I apologize to Porsche for my part in that, but I've been loving it personally. It's been fantastic, and still got 8 minutes of this race to go. We're watching Dan Suzuki, Suelia Almeida. Quirk's closing in a race leader. We've still got some fun at the front.
We certainly do indeed at the front. Well, we'll give you a little bit of the sights and sounds of the Hockenheimring with our Buzz Sound Lab. There we go, our full throttle Buzz sound lap there, as Dan Suzuki providing an astute defence of his position right now on the podium. Third place, Suelia Almeida cannot get past at all. I will tell you, Arjuna, as we've got two fights out on track. We've got Smirk going into the air. Pulpa Lopez, I think, was involved with Matt Malone further down the order, as we've got third place still side by side as well, Casey Kerwin's loitering within 10. Interesting fact, they're lapping 10 seconds lap quicker than the Cup cars did at pole position last year in Pesk.
Yeah, I mean, the way these cars generate the speed as well, so fascinating just to watch, right? Because through the slower corners, they're not necessarily faster. They're in many ways probably a little bit slower through the sluggish corners. In comparison, though, through some of the fast corners, turn one, the commitment, it's remarkable, and it's especially interesting in battles to watch how these drivers have got to maximize the track in different ways. Talk about maximizing the track, by the way. Race for third, race for seventh, well and truly on, but with 5 minutes left to go on the clock, as much as there's a three-way fight for third, for the first time, Basic Ollie's race lead now back under a second as Quirk has reeled on in the race leader.
He certainly has. I reckon we've got about 4 laps remaining in this race here, so time is running out here. There we are on board with Quirk, and there's his target in front. You could see Basic Ollie just wiggling a little bit through the left-hander and onto the power once again. And they talked about, we did hear talk about the track temperature. 43 degrees Celsius is the track temperature right now, as Dan Suzuki tries to hang on to third place. Suelia Almeida looks around the outside, and Casey Kerwin, try as he may, cannot get down the inside, but Suelia Almeida finally has made it through.
Bit too much rotation on the curb there for Casey as he then also tried to get onto the power. Brought it back under control without losing too much time. Almeida will want to try now and run away, but he's going to find it difficult with the way the draft is playing out with these machines and their fixed setup. Dan Suzuki by no means slow. If he can hold on through this final sector, he'll have a chance to draft his way back up to the back of the number 3 machine, sat in third on the run to the hairpin. Race lead now under half a second as Quirk continues to close. Somewhere the Jaws music is getting louder and louder in the background for Basic Ollie. I can only imagine the sight in the rearview mirror as Quirk continues to close.
Unfortunately, we don't have the copyright for that, so you'll just have to imagine it in your own head. As through turn 1 we go at the Nord curve, heading towards the hairpin, and Quirk just lost a little bit of time through turn 1. That's going to cost him that little bit. Basically, I hope he's been looking after his tyres at the front, because now he's going to be needing all the grip that those tyres will be giving him through the Parabolica, heading towards the Spitzkehre at the end of the straight. And then we turn right through the hairpin on towards this arena section, the first of 2 arena sections here at the Hockenheimring. And this is an overtaking opportunity, but you've got to be brave to throw one down the inside here.
No, absolutely. This is one of those corners where, especially in these machines, with the brakes being such a struggle, as the corner squares up and it straightens up, you're trying to then get onto the brakes. I mean, look behind. Daniel Gray was alongside with Grizzle side by side. That's costing them valuable time as they try to close up to those in front to avoid being closed by those behind. So knowing where to fight is so important, because you're not maybe going to get too many opportunities. It will be, what, 2 laps to go this time at the line. Quirk's going to be eyeing up Basic Ollie. Where are the mistakes being made? Basic Ollie may be a little wide through that penultimate corner as we come back towards the line.
Yeah, 2 laps to go in this race then as they cross the line. It's Basic Ollie from Quirk, from Suelio Almeida. Quirk utilising all of the track limits and then some. The Pulpo Lopez is dropping down the order on the left-hand side of your screen, so something's happened to him out there as we stay with this lead fight now. Here's the draft coming into effect through the Parabolica down towards the hairpin at turn number 6. Quirk's just that little bit too far behind, I feel, to make any moves, but he is closing right up. He's almost into the gearbox of the car in front there at the hairpin.
Now, I'm not sure if that was intentional of a slight miscalculation. Whatever the case is, no harm, no foul. Status quo remains as it is. And look at the look of focus on both their faces right now as well. I mean, both are as happy-go-lucky as you'd want most of the time if you go and join them on their stream. But now, with 1 lap to go, Basic Ollie's feeling the pressure. And Quirk's got, what, more than 1,000 official iRacing wins. He knows what it's like to come out on top. But there's a level of stress associated with being here in the Porsche All-Stars and coming towards the final lap.
Yeah, they've gone very quiet, haven't they? They're usually there just sitting back, relaxed, talking to their stream audience, but right now this matters. We're starting the last lap of the race. Basic Ollie's not happy, but he's under some serious pressure. But the crucial thing is, he's the one in the lead. Quirk using all of the track limits and then some, and he's close. In fact, he's got a slow down penalty as Quirk. He's got to serve that slow down penalty from going too far wide, and that's going to be the end of his chance of the lead. Oh my goodness, Dan Suzuki holding off Casey Kerwin.
You could tell as soon as Quirk ran through the opening corner, he knew it was too wide. He knew he had got the slowdown. And Paul, it's so crucial knowing when to fight. We were just talking about it. And Quirk made not an attempt for the lead, but an attempt to try and close maybe a corner or so too soon. And it's going to come back to bite him, unfortunately. Casey Kerwin still got half a lap with which to fight. Dan Suzuki hoping to be the German Minister of Defense.
Certainly, he's got a defence about as qualified as the German national football team as it goes through the right-hander. Do those 2 in 4th and 5th place, but Basic Ollie, he's got to keep the car on the grey stuff for the final few corners. This little chicane through the penultimate corner he's got to go. It's then just the Sud curve, the final time, and Basic Ollie He makes it through. Look at the smile. He's delighted. He is a race winner here in the All-Stars. Oh, the sense of relief. You can tell the sense of relief of what he's got there. And my goodness, he's delighted with that. And why wouldn't you be with the quality of this grid? The rest of your field are coming through across the line as well to finish off their race. But that was really entertaining, Arjuna. I loved that race.
And finally, the smile, the relief, the tension has been lifted as we'll work our way into the post-race show. Paul, this is what sim racing is meant to be about, right? Allowing drivers to enjoy the emotions of motorsport.
Absolutely. It's a win by a second for basically over Quirk, with Swelly Almeida working his way 5 places up into 3rd. Dan Suzuki holding off Casey Kerwin in the end in 4th and 5th places. Kenny 500, Daniel Gray, Grizzle, Love 46 and Tony Kanaan round at your top 10. Then in 11th place was Stradi ahead of the Popa Lopez. Emery, Samsoid, Storm Molina does not finish last again. 2 15th places here. She's moving forward in the field. Matt Malone and Paul Zaza are the last ones on this one. And Arjuna, take it away with our delighted race winner.
Gets in there, Basic Ollie. Congratulations. Big smile, tension lifted. How are you feeling?
Relief. If you guys remember last year, when my heart was broken going into the hairpin, where I was leading, and then we unfortunately had a little incident and we ended up P2 or P3. So to come back here and have the same sort of race but actually end up winning is just a huge relief. I was struggling, guys, at the end. Like my head and my brakes had gone. I could not slow it down as Quirk was catching me every single lap. And I thought, this is it, it's game over. But thankfully, we just managed to hold on. But another couple of laps, I would have been in trouble, I think.
And so now this is your favorite track in the world?
Oh, God knows. No way. No way. But it was good fun. It was really, really good fun. It's, this series is always great fun. But thank goodness. Thank goodness I finally got my first one. I'm chuffed. I'm over the moon.
And now we'll go over to Le Mans in a week's time. I'm sure you're going to be full of confidence heading to what will be, I'm sure, a very different sort of a race. Yeah, I love Le Mans. We've had some great races there, so fingers crossed with any luck we'll perform really well there as well. That is one of my stronger tracks, so we can get rid of Hockenheim, put that in the bin, we go straight to Lemons, and it should be a good race. Congratulations, Basic Ollie. We'll see you in a week's time. And Paul, it's always great to get a winner, but a first-time winner, the emotions, they're amazing. Absolutely fantastic. Well, that was the All-Stars, the ever-exciting All-Stars. But stick around, because coming up after this short break, it is the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup. Caruso's dropping down the order on the timing screen. What on earth has happened to our championship leader? And he's out! He is out of this race! Oh, that is huge championship implications here. Sebastian Joe has just got himself back into second place in the championship here. Jordan Caruso takes the point and now tries to run away. This is going to be real intense towards the end here. Australia has yet another champion here in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup.
In this world, it's all about fine lines. The line between success and failure.
Jordan Caruso, Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup Championship of 2023.
Blurring the lines between reality and perfection.
Prophecy fulfilled. Sebastian Joe is the world champion.
Welcome to Season 6.
After an exciting opening round of the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup at Daytona just a week ago, we head on over to Europe to Hockenheim for week number 2 of this year, the 6th season of the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup. My name is Paul Smith. Alongside me is Arjuna Kankipati, and Arjuna, we had real excitement and drama last time out at Daytona. It's going to be a different kettle of fish here at Hockenheim.
It was all about the first, right, a week ago. First time we went to Daytona. First time we had a rolling start. Now we're back to a familiar track. Standing starts, the norm, it seems familiar again. But with everything that happened at Daytona, championship standings have already started to establish the pecking order moving forward. And there's no time to hang around. If you are someone like Jordan Caruso or Alejandro Sanchez, two names that, let's be honest, heading out of Daytona will have been hoping for very different results.
Yeah, they will have been hoping for quite a different result, that is for sure. But one driver who was delighted with last week was, of course, Sebastian Job. He leads the championship heading into this week. But there we see the schedule. Daytona last week. This week at Hockenheim, fixed setup for everyone. They've all got the same setups. Then it's Le Mans next week before we have a little week's break. Head to Watkins Glen for a mid-season tournament. Red Bull Ring, Imola, and the traditional finale at Monza sees us out here for this 2024 season of the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup. And well, it's certainly going to be filled with drama, is this one. But one driver who'll be delighted is your Tag Heuer pole position award winner, Sebastian Job, for 2 weeks in a row, Arjuna, takes pole position.
Yeah, and it's an important mark, right? Daytona maybe not as important, but I think here at the Hockenheimring, Seb, this is an important pole. Talk to us about the lap.
Yeah, very happy. I think everyone's just glad to get through turn 1 without a 1x here, so that's kind of the very critical point of the lap. I got through there and I could kind of breathe a sigh of relief because I knew it was going to be fairly okay. Of course, I still have to nail the rest of the lap, but getting through turn 1 without running wide and getting your lap invalidated was definitely the key factor. Luckily, I had a really good turn 1. The rest of the lap was good. Like, I'm sure I've done slightly better laps in practice, but for the most part, it was very nice and smooth. So yeah, I was pretty happy with the lap. I knew it'd be up there. I wasn't sure if it'd be pole, and it was pretty close. But yeah, I'm overall very happy with that lap.
Talk to us a little bit about last week. Of course, we talked about tire conditioning. There was a big spread in qualifying times. What was it, 1.5 seconds through the 30 machines? We're back down to about half a second at most. It's really more like 0.3 between the competitive drivers. One lap in qualifying. You talk about turn 1 off track. What's that pressure like for a driver in this series to nail that lap with just one chance to do it?
It's absolutely savage, to be honest. It seems that sim racing competitions love their one-shot qualies, and they are absolutely brutal. The pressure you feel going into that is unlike anything else. You know, the race start is a doddle in comparison. No pressure compared to that one qualifying lap, so it's absolutely crucial that you're really zoned in with the car and performing at your peak. Luckily, I was feeling good today, but yeah, it's a lot closer field this round as well, so it was even more important than normal to not just have a good turn 1 that's safe, but to not lose too much time by being too safe. So there's a very fine balance to it.
Well, there's 7 rounds this season. You've already grabbed pole in 2 of them. You're flying in qualifying. Congratulations, Seb, once again. That Oracle Red Bull sim racing machine will lead us to the green. Best of luck for the 2 races that lie ahead of you.
Thank you.
And always great to get that insight from the driver. And Paul, he looked happy as well. I don't think that's something we see often with Seb.
Why wouldn't he be happy? He has had a tremendous start to 2024 in Porsche machinery, and certainly he'll be looking forward to get ready for this race. We're just a few moments away from the start of the sprint race here. It's a 9-lap race, is this sprint race. We've got 18 laps for the main race later on. There you see it on the screen. The top 8, of course, the results from sprint race. The top 8 is inverted for the grid of race number 2 of the evening, so make sure you join us for those both. Interesting point that I want to point out here. Qualifying time for pole position last year with open setups was a 38.783. Here, with fixed setups, 39.755, so there is a bit slower. Of course, conditions play a part in that as well. Row number 1, Sebastian Job and Alejandro Sanchez with Jordan Caruso, last year's champion, starting alongside Zach Campbell. Johan Harf and Cooper Webster, he'll be delighted to have that one up towards the front of the field. Diogo Pinto and Oscar Irine with Matti Sipola and Oskari Pai. Then it's Sam Keitel and Luke McEwen, the sprint race winner last week, down there on row number 6. Row 7 for Kevin Nielsen and Bryn Collins with Josh Thompson and Jakub Maciejewski. Then Julian Sonnen and Dino Lombardi, who'll be hoping not to be fired across a hairpin. Matthias Stuckbeck then on row number 10 with Michael Jani, Alessandro Bico and Gustavo Ariel. Marian Sarika and the rest of them on screen right now. 29 cars on the grid because Luca Kita is not taking the start by the looks of things, or he might be, but he didn't set a lap time anyway in qualifying. So, very briefly then, Arjuna, we're about a minute or so away. This opening lap, turn number 1, we're seeing it on screen right now. How important is it to get that turn 1 mint?
There's a lot to think about right here. Turn 1, you're already, Paul, thinking about incident points. It was something that the All-Stars were concerned about. These drivers ration incident points. How many do they need left at the end of the race? The answer is as many as they can spare, but you will tactically run off track, and that will include at the start. Something else to keep in mind, this only a 9-lap race. Tire wear, what's that going to be like with the fixed setup? That's the main thing the drivers have the ability to dial in with setups that they don't have today. Worry about that more, I think, though, when we get to the main race.
Yeah, check out details of PESC, iRacing.com/PESC if you want details about this championship and the All-Stars. But we are getting ourselves set for the start of this race. The drivers will look up to the starter's gantry. Barney, the flagman, is waiting and ready. Revs are rising. And we are underway. Green flag racing here at Hockenheim in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup. Towards the Nord curve for the first time. They sort themselves out towards the front, towards the rear. They are too wide. And one of those drivers, Alejandro Sanchez, slow off of the first cut turn here. 2-3 wide down the field into the second corner. This is where you can have a few little incidents through the left-hander, the long left-hander. And look at the lead that Sebastian Job already has at the front of the field here, Arjuna.
It was all because Alejandro Sanchez got ran over by Jordan Caruso in his desperation to close into turn 1. They'll fan out 3 wide. Big send from the zebra of Oskari Irine alongside of Cooper Webster in the Oracle Red Bull sim racing machine. Car goes around. It's Jakub Maciejewski that's made contact with one of the red line entries. Chaos at the hairpin as expected.
Oh, it was Josh Thompson. He cannot buy himself any luck at all. And Irine into the wall. Hopefully he stays off the track. He does. My goodness, what on earth happened there? And that one, we stay green flag racing for the time being, but that's Rine's race done. That's it. It's over for Oskari. Oh my goodness. Well, Sebastian Job leads this one, 1.1 seconds. More contact around. Who was that? That was the 28. My goodness, that was Keiter. Sam Keiter dropping down the order. That's into the arena on the first lap. Well, it's been absolute chaos and carnage here on the opening lap of this race. It shows how close these drivers are as well. But my goodness, these drivers, they do need to take it easy. You mentioned it, Arjuna. Instant points will come into effect in both this and the main race. More so in the main race, I must point out. But it's still Job ahead of Caruso, ahead of Campbell now.
This is looking more like bottom split than a Porsche eSports Supercup race, if I can be completely honest. I mean, look at what they're still trying to go 3 wide in the background. I mean, let's settle down, get into the rhythm, and then go from there. Parker White got disconnected at some point. Not sure what's happened to him. Oskari Irine, he's down pit lane. I mean, after the impact that he had with the wall, there was only one way he was going. That was on the flatbed. Outside of that, though, somehow we still have 28 cars pointed in the right direction. And as we head to the hairpin now for the second time, watch Alessandro Pico in that Golf livery machine, who's almost made it 4 wide. He's tagged his teammate in the Duracell livery, but they get off the corner safely somehow. But the desperation, Paul, it's crazy. I mean, look at this.
And they're almost driving into each other in a straight line as well. 3 wide on the exit there of 7, into turn number 8, onto the brakes. No ABS, no traction control for these drivers. And as I said, it's a fixed setup for this round. So every single driver has the exact same machinery underneath them. And Sam Keiter is dropping down the order here. Chris Lulham has got past. Lulham, after that brilliant opening round of the series, is now down in 19th place as well. The 77 there of Pico trying to work his way through in my opinion, the best livery here on track.
I think one thing that we're seeing right now is behind one of the Altus cars out wide with Heuer as well. That was Lasse Bach and Simone Miramarcello. Paul, but at Daytona, we talk so much about the red line affiliated cars working together and bump drafting in some ways to help each other. No such assistance on offer here as we run wide through turn number 1. I mean, Paul, you're the arbiter of track limits. What do you think about that? Come on.
Let's just say I'm not approving of these track limits, but that's me right now as we look forward then. So Caruso is actually under some serious pressure from Zach Campbell, who had a bit of a shocker last time out at Daytona. Johan Haaf, who got himself some solid points, there is in 4th place, loitering with intent. Cooper Webster, Sebastian Job's teammate, behind him in 5th place. So Webster having a bit of a better round this time compared to last time out at Daytona. These drivers, they're all pretty close. It was about 6-7 tenths of a second covering the entire grid of lap times in qualifying. So this just goes to show that how this fixed setup for this round only, it really is mixing things up, as we're on board with Caruso. They see him bottom left, bottom right is Zach Campbell. And Zach, look at the focus. I've not seen that face for quite a while. He is a man on a mission.
Man on a mission, and also a man of limited practice. I was chatting with him a little bit this morning, and he was saying that sometimes, Paul, we talk about 10, 20, as much as 70 hours of practice for a Porsche eSports Super Cup round. Zach Campbell has a modest 4 hours for this race, was hoping just to get through the day. And I will quote word for word a message he sent me. I'm really slow. Qualified in 4th position. If Zach Campbell is slow, can I be slow with him too, please? Pretty, please?
If he wants to be slow, he wants to put me in the car, because that'll slow him down, that is for sure. My goodness. Well, what I can tell you, you mentioned it, tyre preservation is a big word for these drivers, even in the sprint race, because the conditions out there, it's just getting hotter. It's 41.5 degrees Celsius now on track. That is quite warm for these tyres here, and they will struggle towards the end of this race, as there's a look down the inside of Lombardi, and it's the slightest of contact with the Heuer car of Kevin Nielsen.
I mean, sometimes you just have to recognize when a move's not on or when a defense isn't on, as I think both of those things happen there. And the poor Heuer SimSport machine could do nothing but get tagged and spun around at the hairpin. Race control is going to be plenty busy at the conclusion of this one. And I'll just remind everyone, it started through turn 1 on the opening corner. Alejandro Sanchez is down in 6th position. He qualified up in 2nd. Well, he got slightly half-spanned by Jordan Caruso, who sits in that 2nd spot right now. So race control will take a look at that. Alejandro Sanchez, after what happened in round 1 as well, I've got to say it, how frustrated must he be right now? Can't buy some luck. We'll just be hoping that, Paul, that 2nd race, the invert of the top 8, leaves him in a decent spot to try and push forward.
As they go through the sud curve at the end of the lap. We have got 5 laps to go in this race, and it is absolutely neck and neck for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, all together in a line. Then there's a little bit of a gap back to Oscar Pye for 8th place, ahead of your sprint race winner from Daytona, Luke McEwen. Now Luke will be looking to get himself a bit past Oscar Pye to get himself into pole position for that main race, but Oscar I mean, what a debut season it would be for him to get himself onto pole position for that main race.
And he was in a great spot at Daytona, let's not forget, and so he's now going to be alongside with McEwen as they head off into the hairpin. You can see them just at the outside of shot, but let's go back in time and take a look at what happened through some of the mid-pack action. This is what we just saw into the hairpin momentarily. So Dino Lombardi half goes defensive, and then the move comes after that from the red line machine. Both of those cars are releasing the brakes to try and get into the corner first. What are you expected to do if you're the Fire Sim Sport car, and quite rightly chops the nose off in retaliation on corner exit? That's fair. What happened before, totally ridiculous.
Oh, Lulham's getting a bit freight trained here. Lombardi has dropped down the order, and here comes Alessandro Bico now into the arena, into the stadium section. A little bit of shoulder barge between Lulham and Lombardi. And, well, I think tempers are just getting a little bit frayed out there on this track here today. As Lombardi, the Italian, is dropping down the order. He's not having a good day under his control. He didn't have a good day last time out at Daytona either. Across the final corner once again, and to finish another lap. Remember that it's only the top 20 in this first race that score points in this one. Lombardi all over the place, out of control, and thank you very much, Sam Keitert says.
Oh, and I gotta say, I don't know how that didn't end worse. Watch the send coming from Quinton Violate. Not a kidding, but roaring his way forward, 3 wide, and now on the exit, the Stormforce Apex Racing machines will link up, as will the Team Redline liveried entries, to try and use a bit of bump drafting of their own here to try and get into that hairpin in front. Look at the contact that they know. And it's continuing. I mean, this has been utterly ridiculous on a number of occasions. Sam Keitert's gone off into the grass, and I'm sure we don't want to see the rejoin because it won't be a great one.
Unceremoniously dumped, I think is the correct term for that one. He has actually got the mechanical meatball warning flag, as Sam as well, so that's his day done in terms of the sprint race, and we're starting the main race from the back of the field. Here is the race for second place. The reason why we're not looking at the race for lead is because Sebastian Job has got a second and a half between himself, Jordan Caruso, who's got a charging field behind Zach Campbell, Johan Haaf, Cooper Webster, Alejandro Sanchez, who of course started up there towards the front of the field, and Diogo Pinto, former champion here at the back of this queue as well. You see, you've got your current champion of Jordan Caruso in second, and well, the previous champion behind in 7th place.
If you're joining us for the very first time, I just want to say this is not usually what it's like in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup. These are the best in sim racing. They're usually competitive, yes, and race close, but we can get away with a bit more. I think part of what we are seeing is it's a compressed season this time. Paul mentioned it at the end of the last round, but points are so much more important than they were in 2023, because 7 rounds of the championship, we've got a special mid-season tournament, double main events at the end. It's brought a little bit more importance to each of these races, and so now as they bump in the fight for 8th, remember, that's the position that will be inverted to the front. Oscar Pye wants to hold on, Luke McEwen tries to switch it back, but Bryn Collins is there, Paul, to try and take advantage.
Well, what I don't like about all of this is the fact that they can be driving in a straight line and still bumping into each other. You've got to leave each other space out there on track. I know it's important to get the positions and get the points, and in this case, get the reverse grid pole position. As we're 3 to go, well, 2 1/4 laps to go, shall we say. Matthias Stuckbeck, he's in 11th place behind this trio of cars in front of him. And Matthias is thinking, well, come on, let's you lot knock each other off the track and I'll get that reverse grid pole if you don't want it.
I mean, you've got drivers that have made up 10 positions. Gustavo Ariel started back in 22nd, according to my timing screen, now up in the 12th position. So these are drivers that have stayed out of trouble, I guess, in some cases, and Gustavo Ariel, who was running up front a week ago, maybe not having the best run to open up things here in round number 2 as we bounce through turn number 1. 2 laps still left to go. Up front, Joe clear by 1.6 seconds. The takeaway that I'm starting to derive from this race, Paul, is that if you're in this lead pack, it's very difficult to pass. And so Sebastian Joe better save for the points that he'll get at the front here, because I don't think he'll be winning the main race. It will be a very difficult proposition for him in that Oracle Red Bull Sim Racing entry.
Yes, certainly Sebastian will have it a bit more difficult this week than last week at Daytona. Bryn Collins then. Oh, look at how defensive Oscar Pye is going. He's going all the way to the side of the track. Here comes Luke McEwen to the outside. Bryn Collins is looking to try and take advantage of all this. Oh, there's, well, the Sim Racers lean is going on there as well for Bryn. And there's still McEwen and Pye leaving themselves little to no room at all. McEwen goes off track there, comes back on, dives into the left-hander, gets the position. Pye loses the position to his teammate as well, and here comes Bryn. Oh, this is going to end badly here.
Yeah, this is going to end very badly, and sooner rather than later, Gustavo Ariel's just trying to decide which way he wants to go. Now, though, Oscar Pye and Bryn Collins having swapped around, Bryn Collins on the outside, and the move, the shove from Matthias Stuckbeck is going to send the chaos off once again. I mean, I'll just reiterate in saying it's not usually this bad, but for some reason, second round of 2024, this has been utterly insane.
I'm sorry, but that move was never on into Sachs curve on Oscar Pye. That's dropped Pye down to 17th there as Luke McEwen. We are on the final lap, and my goodness, do you know what? I think I'm glad that this race will be over soon, because a longer race just gives us a bit more time to try and swap these positions. But Bryn Collins is trying his best to try and get through here. The top 5 are still as they are, they're pretty much as they were. This is the important position here. It's this 8th place, because that gives you pole position in the main race here. See, this is why it's so desperate for these drivers to get that position.
And it's just these two. I don't think they're too worried about Siepola in the Sontec entry, or even Gustavo Ariel in one of those red line cars. It's just between McEwen and Collins. One spot, that pole position for the main race, very, very important, of course. But as much as they've been brawling, I've got to say, let's give Sebastian Job some credit for once again, Paul, putting it on pole, grabbing that Tag Heuer pole award, and then just staying calm at the front while it erupted behind.
I've commentated on tamer rugby league matches than this. This has been appalling, but one thing that hasn't been appalling is quite right, as you say, Sebastian Job at the front of the field. He has been the class of the field there. He started on pole position and he waltzed away at the front. He is going to take your race victory in this sprint race. Once again, another race win in the books for Sebastian. Who gets second place? Well, it's your champion from last year, Jordan Caruso. It's who gets 8th. It's going to be Luke McEwen across the line, the debutant. A win on debut last time out. It's 8th place for Luke across the line. Everybody else finishing this race. Marchena is going to go side by side across the end with Luca Kita. That was, well, let's take a breath here and let's give you some results of what happened out there. Sebastian Job, for that Oracle Red Bull Sim Racing outfit, winner here for the young Brit, once again ahead of Jordan Caruso from Australia. Zach Campbell third ahead of Johan Half with Cooper Webster. Alejandro Sanchez drops down the order to 6th ahead of Diogo Pinto. Luke McEwen gets that reverse grid pole position in 8th place. Bryn Collins and Matti Siepola rounds out the top 10. Gustavo Ariel bullied his way through into 11th place ahead of Julian Sonnen, with Michael Jani and Kevin Nielsen behind them. Moreno Sarica 15th ahead of Biko, his teammate, in 16th. Oscar Pye dropping down to 17th ahead of Matthias Stuckbeck. Quentin Violette and Dino Lombardi are the last of your point scorers. Chris Lulham, Salva Talens, Josh Thompson, Simone Manira Marchena, Luca Kita, Jakub Machewski all finished the race, and then Sam Keiter, Lasse Bach, Oskari Rine and Parker White all do not finish this race. that's your results of what happened in that sprint race. And Arjuna, I think we're going to need some ice packs and all sorts for the drivers out there. But we've got the man who finished in second place in the field.
Yep, our defending champion who, let's be fair, didn't have a great run at Daytona, unfortunately, gets things back on track. But Jordan, before we talk about getting things back on track, talk me through turn 1, lap 1, a little bit of contact with Alejandro Sanchez.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, massive apologies to him. I don't know, went through turn 1 and I sort of expected everyone to run out wide and take the off track, so I had a little bit more momentum and gave him a tiny tap, and he, I mean, thankfully he still finished and probably in a better spot because now he's up the front for the feature. But yeah, massive apologies to him. But other than that, really happy with how the race went.
Yeah, let's talk about Daytona quickly. Not according to the plan, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I just really struggled with qualifying consistency. Like, in practice, I'd done really quick laps, but I just, like, sometimes the grip was there, sometimes it wasn't. And going into qualifying, I was sort of happy with my lap, so to be that far back was disappointing. And then in the race, sort of was moving forward and then had an unfortunate contact with Salva, which, you know, put me all the way back for the feature. But I got to put that behind me and just start scoring points to get myself back in the championship.
Well, Jordan, congratulations on getting things back on track slightly. Still one race to go. Best of luck for the main race, and we'll see you for the rest of the championship, of course.
Thanks, man. See ya.
Early in the morning, of course, for Jordan Caruso, we'll chat with Zach Campbell. And, of course, quite an interesting switch of interviewees because, Zach, one thing that maybe a lot of the viewers will not know is we talked a lot last week about how many red line cars there are in the mix. There's only 4 Coanda cars in the field, technically, but you guys have got some partnerships with the likes of Altus to try and bring a little bit more speed.
Yeah, no, and I think, you know, we've worked the last 2 years together with Jordan and Simone and Oscar Mangan last year, Dino Lombardi this year, and they're all great people. We have a lot of fun just testing things and making sure everything is all set up for the races on the weekends.
Well, it seemed like you got things dialed in relatively quickly, not much practice. How are you feeling about the balance of this fixed setup for the Porsche 992 GT3 Cup?
You know, it's something. It's interesting, especially over a long run, you know, with such hot track temps. It's unideal for what we would normally kind of have. Like, we had a really good car here last year, and I wish we could have brought it again. But, you know, it's interesting. You're certainly managing the rears a ton and just trying to do the best you can with what you got, really.
And given that we have a slightly longer race in store for us in this main race coming up next, how bad are the tires going to be at the end? How much are you going to be struggling with the tires?
You know, I don't know. I think the only thing we're focused on is making it through lap 1, and then we can worry about the tire wear later.
There you go. That's what racing drivers should really be focused on. The next corner in front of them, especially Paul, because a new set of Porsche Carrera Cup tires, at least in North America from Michelin, will run you a cool 4,000 for the set.
Oh, is that all? Yes, certainly. Well, let's have a look then at where we are. This is the venue, the Hockenheimring in Germany for week number 2 of this Porsche Heuer eSports Supercup. 2.8 miles in this one, and last year, Zach Campbell, it was a bit of a chaotic race, I seem to recall, last year as well. He ended up getting the main race win. It's going to be difficult, though, isn't it, Arjuna, from 6th place on the grid for Zach to try and get another win?
Yeah, if they were to give me a yellow pen and ask me to circle where the highlights were for danger zones, I'm basically looking at that map and circling every single corner after what was, I think, one of the most ridiculous races we've seen in the Porsche eSports Super Cup. And we went to Long Beach last year. Yes, we went to Long Beach, if you forget that, because most of the drivers have tried to forget that. Paul, that was another level of insanity. And I think what that often does with 2 races on the agenda is it means that drivers who crashed out early in that first race maybe are going to be a little bit more fired up at the start of this second race. So Zach was talking about getting through lap 1. I think that's the smart thing to be focused on moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's certainly going to be tricky for those drivers, and points are going to be meaning prizes for them at the end of the season. And if you do want to keep up to date with the season standings, then do check out iRacing.com/PESC, where you can also find details about the All-Stars as well. So do check that website out. And while you're at it, if you're wanting a new membership, if you're brand new and have never been on iRacing, get yourself a new membership. 40% off right now, iRacing.com/PESC. eSports.com for that. But we will get ourselves set for the second race of the evening. It's the main race here, 18 laps around the Hockenheimring, and it's going to be Luke McEwen sharing the front row with former champion Diogo Pinto. That's going to be an interesting one into turn one. Alejandro Sanchez and Cooper Webster, row number 2, with Johan Half and Zach Campbell, row number 3. Row 4 for Jordan Caruso and your sprint race winner, Sebastian Job. Then everybody races from where they finished. Collins, Sipola with Ariel and Sonnen, row number 6. Row 7 for Gianni and Nielsen with row 8, Sarika and Biko. The two teammates maybe work together. Pai and Stuckbeck on row number 9. 10th row of the grid for Violate and Lombardi with Lurlen and Salva Talons on row number 11. Row 12 for Thompson and Marcheno. And the last few on the grid, Kita and Maciejewski with Kaita back, Rinne and Parker White all the way at the back. They'll be starting around the corner at the very far row of the grid here. We've got about 45 seconds, Arjuna. Hopefully, touch wood, we can have a nice clean race.
Yeah, you know, we used to joke about issuing blocks of wood to commentators at Race Spot because we felt like we needed it. I think the drivers need some wood right now to just knock on their heads a little bit, to remind them that you've got to survive the first lap to get to the checkered. We've got 18 laps on the agenda here. You've got to survive the opening lap, and we saw plenty of cars with damage to the front, with their bump drafting games being played, even in the mid-pack. Survival, option number 1, please, and let's hope that we get through a little bit more cleanly and sanely at the start of this one.
Right, so the drivers find themselves on the grid because it is the main race of week 2 of the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup 2024. The engine revs have risen, and we are underway. Not the best start from the front row for Diogo Pinto. He's got to try and get himself in front, and he does, just in front of Alejandro Sanchez. Cooper Webster comes through in 4th place, and then the rest of the field fan themselves out towards this turn number 2. The hairpin here. Hard on the brakes, too hard on the brakes for Campbell. Zach Campbell into one of those Red Bull cars. I think it was Webster that he got into the side of. Job, incredibly, is up into 4th place through all of that, and well, it's everybody else tripping over each other for 6th place backwards because the front 5 are making a breakaway with that one into the hairpin for the first time. We're going 3 and 4 wide towards the rear of the field. Can we make it through without contact? Incredibly, no, we can't, because there is contact further back.
We can ignore Simone Marcheno going around because that's a bit of a half spin. Most of the rest of the field about as clean as you could ask for. What a move that was. Aggressive from the red line car to cut back through. That's Gustavo Ariel, the Brazilian, who's now trying to battle with Bryn Collins as we come back in towards this final sector. I'll eat my own words. Sebastian Job might actually have a chance of doing the double here at the Hockenheimring, going from 8th to 4th in the opening sequence and taking advantage of Zach Campbell going a bit deep. Ariel now off the track, and somehow a further melee is avoided.
And that was contact with Caruso. Caruso didn't leave the space there for him on the outside into the stadium section for the first lap here as we go through the final couple of corners. And again, there's a car off. It's Biko. Biko in the top of the shot, just out of shot then. He's around at the penultimate corner. Well, we said that we wanted it nice and calm and nice and clean. Unfortunately, we're not getting that. But at the front, it is Luke McEwen who leads this race by 0.2 of a second over Diogo Pinto. Sebastian Job up into 3rd place now over Alejandro Sanchez. Job is on a charge. He's on a mission to try and get himself a double race win here. And I honestly cannot remember the last time we had a double race win here, as through into the lead. Pinto to the inside. He should have the line, but he won't get the drive off the corner. This is Luke McEwen's opportunity to fight back on the outside, though, for turn number 7. This is going to be tricky, but McEwen in that opening race had plenty of practice of this in his fight for 8th place in that sprint race. Pinto, the outside, is going to have the inside at turn number 10, but McEwen's not giving this one up without a fight, and it's going to be around the outside for the Apex Racing Team driver, and he hangs on, does he? Yes, he does.
Great job there from both drivers. All it's done, though, really is now let Sebastian Joe close just that little bit more. He's lurking, has brought Sanchez hard, and Webster with him too. There's a bit of a gap further behind as we'll come to the end of lap number 2. But given that there's going to be so much focus on tire management and tire preservation for the end of this race, you can't imagine there's going to be too much fighting at this stage. Drivers will have to recognize they've got to have something at the end with which to fight, and there's the reason why I think Pinto didn't continue to go side by side.
Oh, Marina Sarica in that Duracell liveried Williams eSports car around at the Sud curve. We're on to lap 3. There's plenty of time, guys, for this race. You don't need to race like your pants are on fire, but that's what Chris Lullum is doing here. He's got the Altus car in front of him. That's Dino Lombardi. Gustavo Ariel alongside him as well in the Team Redline car, and they're all knocking 7 bells out of each other. What on earth are you doing? You are supposed to be going side by side. This is allegedly a non-contact sport. Doesn't look like it today.
I think the only person that really thinks motorsport is non-contact fall is yourself, as look at how the Stormforce machine, the 16, just has to give up a bit of ground to those but coming through, because there was no stopping Dino Lombardi there, and Luca Kita said, I'll have none of that, son. I mean, some of the quote-unquote racecraft being displayed today is not necessarily conducive to a World Championship level. I mean, look at that send from behind, as now the likes of Sam Coiter and Parker White still in the mix. I can tell you what happened to Parker White, by the way. Lap 1 of the sprint race, he was heading into the hairpin, saw the chaos and decided, you know what, I don't want to make it worse, and press those 2 buttons, Paul, that no one wants to press, Alt F4.
Oh, and Marcello's around in the background of shot there, so he's had a spin there into the stadium section here. Right, so at the front it is still as you were, no changes up there. Oscar Irinne, by the way, it must be said, has been moving through the field up 6 places into 23rd right now. Let's take a look back then to what happened to Moreno Sarica, and he's got Oscar Pike to the inside, touches the curb. That's fine, that isn't.
Well, it would have been interesting to get a different look from that first sequence, because it did kind of look as though the Williams car kind of squeezed Oscar onto that sausage curve, and maybe that's a bit of a, I don't want to say the reason why the contact happened, but maybe a mitigating circumstance. These are some of the things that race control will be looking at. No mitigating circumstances up towards the front, though, in terms of allowing this battle to start to grow out. I mean, look at that train that extends not just back to Alejandro Sanchez, but being realistic, Paul, the first gap of more than a second is between 9th and 10th positions. So right now, the draft train, 28 cars long.
Yeah, this is well, this is what we've grown to expect. To the Porsche Heuer eSports Supercup is the tightness of the grid. McEwen has not been able to pull away at the front. Diogo Pinto, don't forget, former champion in 2022, so he'll be wanting to set his sights on another championship to his name. Also, we've only got one driver who's ever had a double championship here in the Porsche Heuer eSports Super Cup in Josh Rogers. He's not competing anymore in this series, but these drivers at the front, they want to get themselves there, and they want to get themselves a championship to their names. Sebastian Job, I said it after that qualifying and after the first race, he has had one heck of a start to his season, 24 season, here in a Porsche.
Yeah, and I mean, no matter where he's been competing as well, right? He's just been having that success as part of this Team Redline affiliation. It's great to see that Oracle Red Bull Sim Racing, who used to be in a partnership with G2 Esports behind the scenes to help run a lot of the program, as it were, now making the switch over to align with Team Redline, who have so much experience, not just in this championship, but across of everything. I mean, you go back to 2023, they arguably were the most successful team in all of sim racing once again. So I think Sebastian's really thriving in this new environment where it's not just Cooper Webster that he can learn from, but he's learning from Diogo Pinto. And we talked to them at the end of last week and they said it was going great. They were enjoying working together, which is a scary, scary proposition. If two of the fastest drivers are working together to make each other faster, Paul, well, who can really beat them?
Yeah, it's a tall order, isn't it? But what's the great thing about this series is we'll actually pit them against each other as well, not just as teammates, because at the end of the day, if you're in this championship, you're here for one reason, and that's to win and win the overall thing. So I think Joe, he has matured a lot over the last sort of 5 years or so, and he's really sort of thinks the long game in terms of a championship. He'll realise when it is time to make a move, or when it's time to actually just think, do you know what? I'm in some really good points here right now. I can secure myself a really good result. But you give him an opportunity and he will take it. That is for sure. Mind you, talking about maturing, Diogo Pinto, when you think back to his first season in this championship, he was a bit of a wild one, getting involved in incidents. Second season, wins the championship.
Yeah, it's all about recognizing when you should fight, right, and when you should give up the ghost. When Sebastian won his championship, let's not forget Josh Rogers, Max Benneker, so much animosity between the pair of those drivers that kind of helped Sebastian, who didn't need to get involved in a fight with them. Pinto searching the long way around for the lead, still not even a third race complete in this main event of today. Lewis McLeod has just been looking through some of the stat books, by the way, Paul, and quite intriguingly has said that Sebastian Job, if he did the double here today, it would be the 6th time that he has done the double. In total, that's a big crash for Josh Thompson, another driver that can't buy any luck. A driver that can buy some success though. Sebastian Job, this would be his 6th double. There have been 11 doubles in the total of series history before. Seb has 5 of them. That is remarkable to think about.
It is crazy. I mean, you look at that, the live championship points, if people were to finish as they are now, Sebastian would have a 37-point lead over Luke McEwen here in this championship. That's an incredible lead to have at the end of week 2, and we mentioned it. It's a 7-week series this year, not a 10-week series, so points are at a premium. That might explain a little bit the desperation of drivers to try and move through the field as well, but it just goes to show if you can get a really good, solid start to your season, it makes the rest of your season just that bit easier.
And it let Jordan Caruso, for example, kind of build some intensity at the end of 2023 when at one point it looked like, of course, he was odds on to wrap the championship up with time to spare, and then a couple of moments of drama towards the middle end of the season meant that it was still all to play for in the final round of the championship, although that hope was extinguished in the sprint race. A bit more bumper cars being played there as Joe gave a shove to the back of Pinto just through the hairpin. 6 laps complete, still have the 12 to go. Probably going to start getting to that point, Paul, where tires are going to start feeling worse for the wear. And we've talked ad nauseum about this being fixed setup. If any of the viewers are feeling like, you know what, maybe I'd like to have a go at the setup that these drivers are competing with, as far as I understand, all you need to do, jump on iRacing, load the Hockenheim setup, and there you go. You've got the car that the drivers are driving right now.
Yeah, you can give yourself a direct comparison to these drivers as well. Let's take a look back at what has happened to Josh Thompson then, and the Manxman up against the Frenchman of Oscar Pye. He was trying to go around the outside, cut back to the inside, and Pye's going to come back onto the track there, and I'm afraid that is on Pye in terms of coming back to the track in an unsafe manner. But also, if I'm Josh Thompson, I allow that space to not have that happen to me.
I think the problem was he had one of his teammates, might have been Chris Lullum, alongside as well, and so they both didn't give room, and so I'm on your side. I think, you know, of course, the incident responsibility is placed at the feet of the Coanda machine, but ultimately it's drivers' responsibility sometimes to save themselves and keep themselves out of trouble. So as we go back to where all the trouble truly is, you could watch the likes of Chris Lullum, Oscar Irene, Salva Talons in one of those Stormforce Racing by Apex Racing machines, and then Alessandro Bico in that 77. I want to give Bico a bit of a shout out, Paul, because grabbed a podium here last time in our season opener in 2023 to kick off what was his second season. Finished 8th in the championship, has not really enjoyed the start to the season that he would have been hoping for. 17th and 11th in the rounds at Daytona, even if he's got one of the best liveries, if not the best livery we've seen in series history.
I'll be blunt with you, it is my favourite livery ever in this series, but that's just my opinion. Well, at the front then, Luke McEwen, after almost finishing 9 laps of this race, he's leading by just 0.2 of a second over Diogo Pinto. Sebastian Job is in 3rd place right now, ahead of Alejandro Sanchez, with Johan Hart and Cooper Webster. Zach Campbell, Matti Sipola are there with Bryn Collins and Kevin Nielsen rounding out the top 10. They're all in the queue right now. They're all in the line, and they're just looking after the tyres. They're looking after how the car is going, because it's now 42 degrees Celsius is that track temperature. They will be feeling this by the end of the race in terms of the track and the tyres. Well, we are going to just go through the right-hander here. And well, can any of these drivers make any moves through the parabolica? And it's this long sweeping left-hander, and it's just staying as you were. As I say, everybody is just taking it easy. They're just looking after their cars. So why don't we give you a little bit of the sights and sounds as we go full throttle with Buzz. So there we go, a lap on board with several of your drivers, including further down in your order with Dino Lombardi, Oscar Pai, Luca Kita, Lasse Bach. That sort of fight down the order a little bit as well. They've been at loggerheads at the bottom end of your top 20 in this race. Remember, the main race, it's the top 25 who score themselves points, and well, it's certainly going to be intriguing to see who can get themselves points in this one, but who will get themselves the top step of the podium, because Arjuna, 9 laps to go. It's now a case of Pinto's looking for opportunities, isn't he? He's waiting to see if an opportunity arises for him.
We're getting to that point right now where, as well, we've done as many laps as we did in the sprint race, so tires have gotten past where the drivers have felt comfortable with them in this race intensity. So maybe the mistakes are going to start to build from this point forward. You can see behind Cooper Webster, I believe, the gap starts to open up to Zach Campbell in this leading train on the top of your screen. And give a shout out to Cooper Webster as well, who's going to have to continue to balance his responsibilities as we work through the season, building up for a season in the Euro Cup 3 championship, I believe it's called, for 2024. And Cooper, of course, coming, of course, off winning the 2023 F4 Indian Championship. In our off-season, when he was away from PESC, he was winning his first real-world car championship, so great to see him, and got some teammates to work with as well in the form of the likes of Sebastian Job, who's still in that third spot and hunting.
Well, I think there's one or two drivers out there who are going to be a real anti-hero out there, and they're going to find themselves questioning, you know, is there going to be some bad blood between drivers after this round? Pinto into the back of McEwen at the hairpin. We've seen those little love taps happening throughout this race, but certainly these opportunities are going to come sometime soon. But, well, Kevin Nielsen with on the left there, Julian Sonnen on the right. They're a little bit further down, and Kevin Nielsen 10th place, Sonnen 11th. They're at the back of this queue of cars, and it's a question of, can they do anything to move forward here? Because it's proving difficult now. We're all just staying as it were right now.
Yeah, two different stories to speak of as well, right? For Kevin Nielsen, part of that Fire Sim Sport team, returning for this year as well, so comes in with a bit more of a stable backing and understands the environment with which he's competing in as well. For Julian Sonnen, not a rookie to the championship, but the first time we've seen him representing Commander eSports in this championship. Of course, left RAG, Roman Grosjean's eSports team last year, and so, you know, new surroundings for him, competed with them in the IMSA eSports Global Championship, but always when you go into a championship like this, teams are important in getting ready, and having the setup maybe a little less important for today. And so, yeah, good to be able to see two drivers that are enjoying a little bit of success here today, 10th and 11th respectively.
Yeah, not getting involved in silly incidents, that is for sure. 7 laps to go in this week number 2 main race of the 2024 season of the Porsche Heuer eSports Supercup, and Pinto's making a move to the inside of the hairpin. He threw McEwen a dummy, and that's got him the position. Can he hang on to it? We saw McEwen on lap number 1, or lap number 2 was it, sorry, running side by side through turn 7 into 8. You can defend the place this way, but now, on the brake, a little bit of a rump between the two. This is going to give Sebastian Job the opportunity, and he's through. That's 6 places gained now for Sebastian Job, up into 2nd place. And well, all of a sudden, Pinto's going from attack to defense because Sanchez wants a piece of the action.
And notice how Job didn't go for the move out of the hairpin, didn't try and take it 3 wide, hung back and recognized his time would come. It would just be at the right time. And so as Pinto went wide, Job saw the door and now has a chance to slide his way forward towards the race lead if McEwen gives him that opportunity. It will be 6 to go at the line this time by. And if anyone is going to be able to force his way past, you'd have to think Sebastian Job's going to be the most willing to go for it when the opportunity presents itself. Paul, that's important. It's when, not if, but when the opportunity comes.
Yeah, exactly. That's it, and that's that maturity that I was talking about earlier with Sebastian. He's learned to play the patient game and learned when actually it's better to get the big points than trying to force a door open that was always going to stay closed. So, yeah, Job is on a charge right now. As I say, 6 places gained. He's looking for, as you pointed out, and thank you very much, Lewis McGlade, for the stat. He's looking for his 6th back-to-back win here in championship history. He's got the most wins of all the series history, has Sebastian Job. So he's got the space, he's got the pace, he's got the wins under his belt. Looking a little bit further back, 8th place, Matti Sipola. What a driver, what a story it's been for the Sontec racing outfit here, Arjuna.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Matti was one of those drivers that left Kova when they closed their doors at the end of 2022. In 2023, joined up with Sontec Racing, who had big plans. They've been working alongside the likes of Sami Matti Trogan, who straddles the real and virtual worlds, and they won their first iRacing special event at the end of last year, the iRacing Fuji 8 Hours, and so it's been a real thrill to see the way they've continued to grow as Heaven's Lasse back is spat out into the kitty litter. I mean, that's about as big as they get. Still side by side though, this is Sam Coiter and Oscar Pye.
Well, what on earth was that? Hopefully we'll get to have a look and find out what happened there. You look at these cars; they're battered and bruised. The Porsche spares department are going to be rubbing their hands with delight at the money they're going to rake in with these cars. But still, Kiter is right there with Oscar Pye, and Pye's been going backwards in this race. Started 17th, now down to 20th. It's just not been Oscar's day here today in the Hockenheimring.
No, definitely not been one of those struggle days as well. Maybe he hasn't got to grips with the fixed setup, hasn't really understood with what to do, but here we go for the lead. Sebastian Jobe to the inside. Luke McEwen going to get boxed out, and watch Pinto. Where does he go? Because Jobe's got the lead. There's not even side-by-side off the corner. The Apex Racing Team machine in the middle of two red line cars. A teammate to help out in the form of Alejandro Sanchez, but with Pinto looking through the inside of the arena section. Red line liveried cars 1 and 2. Sebastian Jobe with the Oracle Red Bull Sim Racing car leads once again.
Now, what are they going to do here with 5 laps to go, coming up to 4 laps to go? Are they going to try and work together just to move away from the rest of the field? But Luke McEwen, he'll feel like he's had his pocket pinched with that one. Loses the lead to Jobe, and then the very next couple of corners loses that second place to Pinto. Sanchez now, Alejandro Sanchez for the Stormforce racing team. He's right there with Johan Half behind. So that's 3 Apex Racing Team affiliated cars, 2 Apex Racing Team cars with a Stormforce Racing sandwich right now.
I'm tense right now. We've got 4 to go, and I still don't know if Jobe and Pinto have the tires to break away from those behind, or if we're going to start seeing some gains out of this second corner on the run up to the hairpin. Bit of the history book if you're curious. The last time we had a double win, it wasn't Sebastian Jobe, it was Josh Rogers in 2021. We also had Sebastian Duin in 2021. But the last 2 years, no driver's been able to do the double, and the only other couple of drivers that have been able to hit that mark, other than the best in the series, well, include Graham Carroll, Max Benneker, Jeremy Bouteloup, and Martin Kroenke in the mix for that stat. So, again, Sebastian Jobe searching for what would be a 6th double of 12 in total.
Well, as we're heading through, the laps are running out here. Track temperature now up to 43 degrees Celsius, so it's growing even more here. And that tyre management, I mean, you would think that the drivers being sat in the draft in the slipstream will actually have worse tyres, wouldn't you? With them having less aerodynamic grip through the corners, just scrubbing those tyres, but it's these drivers being able to look after their tyres, look after their cars, and then just bolt towards the end of the race. That is the signs of a true driver who's at one with his machinery. And Sebastian Jobe has got a little bit of a gap over Diogo Pinto right now, and it's looking good for the young Brit at the front of the field. But do not count out Luke McEwen yet, because he is a feisty one. He can come back at any time.
Really feel like Seb's probably got the freshest tyres of them all, because he was the one sitting behind while Pinto put the pressure onto McEwen, tried to bring the mistakes out of our race winner to open up the season at Daytona. And so now Jobe has the chance, with the maybe 2.5 car lengths that he's got over the 44 machine, to in some ways help Diogo out, give him some draft, help relieve the pressure that Luke McEwen, Alejandro Sanchez may start to build in the next 2.5 or so laps, because I don't think Pinto's going to get close enough to get past his counterpart in the race lead. Instead, it may just about being able to hold on to the positions as they run.
As they come out of the hairpin, here's a replay then of how that move was done for the race lead, and it's the run out of the hairpin of 2 through the parabolic corner, and then it's that long sweep. Jobe got the run in the slipstream, and it's a late dart to the inside, and McEwen's been caught out by that again. Now, I think McEwen thought that he'd be able to hang it out around the outside like he's done previously, but Jobe did that to perfection and got the launch off of the corner and was able to get ahead.
And so now, as we get ready to bring ourselves back around to the line to hit 2 to go, we've talked a bit about incident points over the course of the day. I have no idea where we stand right now. This has been a little bit more calm in terms of the main race. and our level of insanity that we saw in the sprint race. However, already Sal Vitalis has been hit with a drive-through penalty. 2 to go means now that drivers have got to use whatever incident points they have left. It means as you come through turn 1, watch who runs wide, who takes the most liberties with track limits. Clearly, Alejandro Sanchez feeling very confident with the incident points in his back pocket.
Certainly does seem that way. 2 laps to go then. Don't forget Alejandro Sanchez, a former championship contender back in 2020. And he certainly is looking to try and get back to those days, that form that he had back then, to try and get himself back into a championship hunt. But Luke McEwen has been really asserting himself in this championship. But there goes Ant Sanchez to the inside. Now, is that a little bit a case of, well, Alejandro, you've got some fresher tyres, you go at them, but no, he gets caught up in the middle of the hairpin behind the Team Redline car of Diogo Pinto.
Yeah, there's going to be no team help here. Every man for themselves in this closing stage, right? There's no chance to try and get back past in the final laps. We're in those final laps, and so Sanchez got a little bit too hung up on that inside curve, much like we saw from Casey Kerwin in the All-Stars. Bit too much rotation, spins the car more than you want, and so now has to back into line and set this all up again. We've got 1 lap left to go. As I thought, Job is clear at the front. He's 6/10 in front and looking comfortable. Pinto, though, still looks like there's some questions about the body language of the car. But Paul, the last couple of laps, he's been able to keep his margin to McEwen, who's been more worried about that 3rd and final spot on the podium.
Yeah, McEwen wants another podium to his name here, of course, after getting that sprint win last time out. White flag in the air. We are on the final lap of this race. It's Sebastian Job from Diogo Pinto. Luke McEwen 3rd ahead of Alejandro Sanchez. Johan Harf and Cooper Webster 5th and 6th place. Campbell 7th ahead of Matti Sipila. Bryn Collins and Julian Turner rounds out the top 10. Your 2023 champion Jordan Caruso 11th place. He's not had the start to the season that he wanted, apart from that 2nd place in the sprint race earlier on this evening. We're heading towards the hairpin. Sanchez is making some moves, as he knows he's backing out of that one on McEwen. Sipila is looking to make some moves further back, and that's on Zach Campbell into the hairpin on the final lap. And the Somtech Racing driver looks to have that position in 7th.
Cooper Webster had to give just a little bit of room to avoid being run over. Fortunately, he had the space and wherewithal to be able to do so. Still side by side, that battle's not done by any means. So keep an eye with left side of your screen, 7th and 8th positions, Campbell and Sipila. Going to be neck and neck between the 2 of them, and Campbell's got the opportunity to run wide with his incident point advantage. Just a couple more corners to hang on, though, for history to be made. Sebastian Job hasn't done this since 2021. No one's done this since 2021. This is remarkable.
Oh, this is an incredible start to his 2024 campaign. It's going to be 3 wins from 4 races, 2 pole positions for the Oracle Red Bull Sim Racing driver Sebastian Job. It's a perfect week here in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup. Across the line, the rest of them go. But my goodness, he is delighted, and why wouldn't you be?
Now, I'm not sure if all 12 of those previous double winners have also been able to do what Sebastian Job has done here, Paul, which is with the pole position as well, grab maximum points out of this round of the championship. We keep talking about how important the rounds are. This is a performance that not only gets him points, but really shows us just why he is the championship favorite.
As we go to the Buzz post-race show here on our coverage of the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup, let's run you through your provisional race results for the main race at Hockenheimring. It's Sebastian Job who wins that one by half a second over Diogo Pinto, with Luke McEwen rounding out the podium sitters. Alejandro Sanchez has to settle for 4th place ahead of Johan Harf, with Cooper Webster, Matti Sipila, Bryn Collins, Julian Turner and Zach Campbell rounding out your top 10. Jordan Caruso, 2023 champion, outside the top 10 once again this season. In 11th ahead of Quentin Violate, Kevin Nielsen, Michael Janney, with Gustavo Ariel, Matthias Stuckbeck, Dino Lombardi, Luca Kita, Sam Keita and Oscar Pai down to 20th place. 21st for Oscar Irene, that's a gain of 8 places for him, ahead of Chris Lulham. Parker White, Marino Sarica, and Jakub Maciejewski gets the final point in this race. Biko, Marchena, Talons, the last of the runners, Back and Thompson both out of the race. Wow, we get a minute to take a breath here in the commentary box, but Arjuna, you've got our race winner, Sebastian Job.
Seb, I'm not sure if you know this, but no one's been able to do the double in the Porsche eSports Supercup since 2021. There have been 12 doubles in history. You've got 6 of them. How does that feel to know what a stat that really is?
Yeah, I'm buzzing with that. I think even better is the fact that it was pole position as well, so it's not just double win, but maximum points. I didn't think it was possible on a track like this. I'm a little bit shocked. Obviously a bit of good fortune, but I also feel like I drove a really good race. Races, no mistakes. And the raw pace was the best I've had for a long time. I think I've potentially made some progress. I'm not sure how, but it just kind of comes with the more you drive. Because I was just flying. So yeah, very, very happy with that. And some great teamwork with Diogo to secure a 1-2. He drove an awesome race as well. And very unfortunate for Cooper, who got wiped out in turn 2. Otherwise, I think he would have been right there with us. But he still finished 6th after that, so it's still a very good result.
And well, I would love to talk a bit more about the result, but half of me kind of wants to talk about next week. A trip over to Le Mans, going to be a little bit more similar to Daytona, but how do you feel? Like you said, maximum points locked up here today as you continue to do your donuts.
Yeah, I think Le Mans is going to be very similar to Daytona. I think it will be, well, I said today was about surviving and I said Daytona was about surviving. I think that's just how it is in this series. But Le Mans in particular is just chaos, and teamwork is always critical there because of how long the straights are and the insane draft in this car. So I just hope that it can play out somewhat similar to this and Daytona. Obviously, I'm not expecting maximum points again, but that would be very nice. But it is typically a very good track for me, so I've got high hopes for it.
And you're not done with Porsche racing this weekend, are you? You've got the Porsche eSports Carrera Cup Great Britain to focus on tomorrow. Where are you going racing? Where can the people follow you tomorrow?
Yes, we are racing at Snetterton. I think Porsche, it's just on Twitch /Porsche. But yeah, it's going to be good, I think. Because I've been focusing on PESC, I've not been able to turn any laps yet, but it's the shorter layout, the 200, so it should be fairly simple to learn. Unfortunately, I can't really relax after such a great result. I have to go and practice, but you know, that's part of it, and hopefully some similar results to today.
Well, keep the smile on your face. Congratulations on doing the double for the first time in now 2 full seasons, and can't wait to see you at Le Mans in 7 days' time.
Thank you.
And so from Sebastian Job in the race-winning machine both times today, we slide on over to Diogo Pinto, whose sim room is looking, I've got to say, one of the coolest in the Porsche eSports Super Cup. But Diogo, talk us through being able to finish in second. It was not an easy race by any means.
Yeah, it was a very tricky race. My qualifying again was a bit underwhelming, but an improvement from Daytona. Yeah, the sprint was very cautious at the start. I just had to avoid the shunts, and then on the feature race, a bit disappointing because I think I could have won. Unfortunately, tried to crash me out into one of the corners. I'm not sure what happened there, but luckily, yeah, still a 1-2 from the team, and really happy with the points. And for Sebi, an awesome race. So yeah, happy overall.
Paul and myself spent a lot of time today talking about how crazy it is and how much championship fights are often just predicated on staying out of trouble. I mean, talk us through that from your perspective today, Diogo. I know the main race was a little less chaotic than the sprint race, but what were you seeing in your rear view mirrors and your side mirrors of everything that was going on?
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of desperate drivers on the grid, and they want to do desperate moves. And sometimes the difference between a fast driver and a good driver is just make the moves at the right time and use the pace when you can, and just stay out of trouble when you have to. So that's what I did today. A bit disappointing again, because I think I could have won, but still, another really good result from the team and an unbelievable start to the season.
And talk to us about how you thought the balance of this fixed setup was. Did it suit your driving style, or were you slightly compromised trying to drive around it?
Yeah, I think the fixed setup was pretty good. it was quite soft, so I think we just had to really be cautious in these really hot temps. But yeah, I mean, it's obviously the same for everyone. And yeah, there'll be another fixed races, so I think it's good because then you see exactly what's the difference between the drivers.
Well, congratulations, Diogo, on another podium, and we'll see you in a week's time over at Le Mans.
Yep, thank you.
And last but not least, Luke McEwen. Luke, Diogo was just saying there was a little bit of argy-bargy contact between the two of you in the closing stages. What happened from your perspective? Talk us through it.
I mean, defended well, it was the first half of the race, but being out front, you can't look after the tyres as much because if I'm saving sector 1, they're all going to be too close for the hairpin, so I had to push a little bit too much for my liking. Tyres just went off a bit at the end of the race, but yeah, still happy with P3. Obviously, there's a very good chance I could have won that race, but yeah, oh well.
You say, oh well. It's not been a bad start to your Porsche eSports Supercup career, has it? I mean, after winning the first race of the season, the sprint at Daytona, how are you feeling about how comfortable you've gotten with the car and with the rest of the drivers so quickly?
Yeah, I was pretty surprised to be, fighting for wins in the first 2 rounds. Quality around here didn't really go to plan. I could have been further up, but managed to get to 8th. So, yeah, the pace is there. I just got to execute a bit better when it comes down to it.
Well, congratulations, Luke. We'll see if you add a few more track maps over your shoulder in the next rounds of the championship, but see you in 7 days over at Le Mans.
All right, cheers.
Always great to be able to catch up with some of those drivers. And, well, I went fishing for drama between Luke and Diogo, Paul. I didn't get more of it.
Nice try. You need to put some better bait on the rod, that's for sure. 51 points is the provisional lead in the championship for Sebastian Job over Diogo Pinto. Look at that, 2 former champions, 1st and 2nd place. Luke McEwen, though, on debut in this season, and he is 3rd place overall. He should be happy with that over his experienced teammate in Johan Haaf. You look through this field, you normally say sort of the top 15 is that cut-off, but one person who will not be happy, Jordan Caruso, 2023 champion, is 104 points off of Sebastian Job.
There's still a long way to go, Paul. I know we've got the mid-season tournament. We've got double main races that pay out double main points in the final round at Monza this time as well. But you've got to think, we're 2 rounds in. Sebastian Job has just rewritten history once again. It's been a dominant run. He's got a smile on his face, and that's a scary proposition. When a driver's enjoying life, when a driver's ready to go, and not worried about where they're racing, whether it's at the Circuit de la Sarthe, whether it's here at the Hockenheimring, that's a driver to worry about.
And we don't have long to wait as well for the next round, because in just 1 week's time we head on over to France and the Circuit de la Sarthe for week number 3 of the 2024 Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup. Make sure you join us again next time out for all of that action. But from myself, Paul Smith, Arjuna Kankapati here on commentary, it's been a chaotic sprint race, a bit calmer main race, but my goodness, did it give us some thrills and spills. Until next time at Le Mans, it's goodbye from now.